Did you hear about the football player who became a gardener? He loves to plant his seeds in the end zone. Now imagine this football player is none other than Caleb Williams, the first overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears. But let's rewind a bit back to where it all began for Caleb. Caleb's story starts in a place you wouldn't quite expect, a small town where football was just a pastime, not a pathway. Young Caleb was more likely to be found with a book in his hand than a football. In fact, when he first picked up a football, his grandmother thought it was a cabbage. You heard that right. Our star quarterback's first encounter with a football was mistaken for a vegetable. Can you imagine? If things had gone differently, we might be talking about Caleb the cabbage connoisseur instead of Caleb the quarterback. But fate had other plans. It was the local community that first spotted Caleb's potential. They saw how the kid, who had never shown much interest in sports, suddenly lit up whenever he held a football. It was as if he'd found a missing piece of himself. This small-town boy with a big dream started spending every spare moment he had on the field, throwing, catching, running. Football was no longer just a pastime for Caleb, it became his passion. Despite his humble beginnings, Caleb's talent was undeniable. His community rallied behind him, nurturing his passion and honing his skills. It's a testament to the power of community and the influence of a supportive environment. And it's a reminder that no matter where we come from, it's where we're going that matters. Just imagine, our star quarterback nearly ended up as a vegetable enthusiast instead. But thanks to his determination, his community's support, and let's face it, his grandmother's poor eyesight, Caleb Williams found his true calling on the football field instead of in the garden. And the rest, as they say, is history. High school, a time where the only thing harder than the math homework is trying to fit into those tight football uniforms. Caleb Williams, our protagonist, wasn't immune to these adolescent challenges. But let's not forget, this is the guy who would go on to be the first overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. But back then, he was just a high school student with a big dream and a bigger determination. The gridiron fields of high school were Caleb's proving ground, his arena to showcase that he had the mettle to make it in the big leagues. But it wasn't always touchdowns and victory laps. There were hurdles, both literal and figurative. And boy, did he stumble a few times. Remember his first touchdown? Oh, it was a sight to behold. With the agility of a gazelle and the power of a freight train, Caleb charged towards the end zone. The crowd was on its feet, the cheerleaders were in a frenzy, and Caleb? Well, he was in the zone. Only in the excitement of it all, our man made a beeline not for his team's bench, but for the opposition's. Imagine the scene, a triumphant Caleb, chest puffed out in pride, running straight into the bewildered faces of the opposing team. The confusion, the laughter, the sheer absurdity of it all. It was a moment that would go down in high school football lore, a touchdown followed by a comedically misplaced victory run. But that's what makes Caleb's journey so inspiring. Even in moments of embarrassment, he never lost his spirit, his drive, his ambition, because for him, every stumble was a step closer to his dream, every hurdle a challenge to overcome. So he scores a touchdown and ends up in the opposition's lap. Talk about a touchdown with a side of embarrassment. Ever heard of a football player who thought he was signing up for a cooking class instead of the college football team? Well, that's our guy, Caleb Williams. His college journey was as much a comedy of errors as it was a tale of triumph. As a freshman, he entered the recruitment office with the confidence of a seasoned quarterback, only to be handed a playbook that he mistook for a cookbook. Imagine his surprise when he found no recipes for his favorite chili dogs, only diagrams of complex plays and strategies. Yet, despite this initial hiccup, Williams didn't back down. He took to the playbook like a chef to a new recipe, devouring every word and diagram with an insatiable hunger for knowledge. He spent hours studying the plays, each one a different ingredient in the complex dish that is college football. And boy, did he cook up some impressive plays on the field. His signature move, the Williams whirlwind, was as dizzying as a blender on full speed, leaving his opponents in the dust and the crowd in awe. His precision was like that of a master chef, slicing through the defense with the precision of a finely honed knife. Yet it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were times when he fumbled the ball like a slippery fish, and occasions when he got sacked like a sack of potatoes. But with each setback, he dusted himself off and got back in the game, showing a resilience that was as tough as an overcooked steak. But perhaps the most impressive part of Williams' college career was his unflinching dedication to his team. Just as a chef is nothing without his kitchen crew, Williams knew that he was nothing without his teammates, and so he worked tirelessly to build a strong rapport with them, fostering a sense of camaraderie that was as warm as a freshly baked pie. So from the playbook mix-up to the Williams whirlwind, Williams' college journey was as eventful as a 7-course meal. And just like a great chef, he took every misstep and triumph in his stride, using them to hone his craft and perfect his game. From cookbooks to playbooks, Williams sure knows how to stir up a storm. Draft day, the only day where being picked first doesn't mean you're the teacher's pet. Draft day 2024, an eventful day that saw Caleb Williams stepping into the spotlight as the first overall pick. The anticipation was high and the tension could be sliced with a butter knife. Even though Williams was a favorite for the top spot, the unpredictability of the draft is what makes it so thrilling. You'd think a guy about to be christened as a Chicago Bear would be cool as a cucumber, right? Well, not exactly. Picture Williams, pacing the room like a caged lion, his eyes glued to the screen as if it held the secrets of the universe. Every time the phone rang, he'd jump, only to find it was his grandmother calling to wish him luck for the 100th time that day. It's safe to say his nerves were dancing the jitterbug. Then came the moment of truth. The room fell silent as the clock ticked down. And then, the words that would change Williams' life forever. With the first pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select. A pause that felt like an eternity, and then, Caleb Williams. The room erupted into a cacophony of cheers, but all Williams could do was stare at the screen, his jaw hitting the floor. Talk about being shell-shocked. The drama didn't end there. Amidst the congratulations and backslapping, Williams' father was fielding calls from excited relatives, while his mother was already planning a celebratory feast. And let's not forget Williams himself, who spent a good chunk of time pinching himself to make sure he wasn't dreaming. It was a day of whirlwind emotions and high-octane drama, a true testament to the spectacle that is the NFL Draft. Well, Williams certainly didn't drop the ball on draft day. He was too busy dropping his jaw in shock. Chicago, where the winds are as unpredictable as a quarterback's throw. Caleb Williams, hailing from the sunny climes, now finds himself in the heart of the Windy City, grappling with the notorious Chicago chill. Remember when we were kids and we'd pile on layers of clothing to build a snowman? Well, Williams seems to be reliving those moments, but for a slightly different reason. Every morning, he'd show up to the practice field looking less like a quarterback and more like a marshmallow, swaddled in not 1, not 2, but 5 layers of clothing. Yes, you heard it right, 5 layers, folks. It's not just the biting cold that he's wrestling with, but the gusty winds that can turn an impeccable throw into a wild goose chase. Imagine trying to nail a perfect spiral when the wind's got a mind of its own. It's like trying to predict the ending of a suspense thriller. You think you've got it figured out, and then, bam, the plot takes an unexpected turn. But let's not forget, this is Caleb Williams we're talking about. A young man known for his resilience and determination. He's not one to be easily deterred. If anything, he's using these challenges to his advantage, forging his skill set in the icy crucible of Chicago's winters. The cold, the wind, the layers of clothing, they're all part of his new routine. And we've got to hand it to him. He's turning the tables on the Chicago chill, using it to hone his game, to sharpen his instincts. In the face of these odds, he's showing us that it's not just about the physical strength or the technical prowess. It's about the grit, the tenacity, the will to push through, come what may. And who knows? If he keeps up this pace, Williams might just shatter some stereotypes along the way. At this rate, Williams might just become the first quarterback to play in a snowsuit. Being a rookie in the NFL is like being the new kid in school, except the bullies are 300-pound linebackers. Stepping onto the field, Caleb Williams knew he had a lot to prove, not just to the veterans on his team, but to the entire league. The first few games were nothing short of a baptism by fire. The speed, the intensity, the sheer physicality of the game, it's all a level above what he had experienced in college. Suddenly, the field seemed smaller. The gap's tighter, and the defenders, well, they seem to have somehow grown a couple of extra arms. Now let's talk about Williams' first game. Picture this, you're a rookie quarterback, the game is on the line, and you're about to make your first snap. The crowd is roaring, your heart is pounding, and then bam, you trip over your own shoelaces. Yes, you heard it right. Williams, in his debut game, had a little stumble, quite literally. But don't you worry, he bounced back with the grace of a gazelle and the determination of a bear. A Chicago Bear, to be precise. The challenges were many, from learning the playbook to understanding the complex defensive schemes of the opposition. But Williams, with his intelligence and commitment, turned these challenges into stepping stones. He impressed his teammates, the management, and even the most hardened skeptics among the fans. So here we are, witnessing the rise of a new star, a rookie who's rumbling and stumbling his way to glory. Williams has shown that he's not just another first-round pick. He's a player with the heart of a champion, the mind of a strategist, and the spirit of a true bear. And as for that mishap during his first game, well, it's just another chapter in the amusing book of rookie tales. It's a reminder that even in the high-stakes world of NFL, there's always room for a good laugh. Who knew the NFL stood for newbie faces laughter when Williams stepped onto the field? Getting approval from the veterans is like getting a thumbs up from your in-laws, rare but oh so satisfying. In the world of football, this approval comes with a high bar set by years of experience, sweat, and probably a few broken bones. For Caleb Williams, stepping into the Chicago Bears locker room was like stepping into a den of lions. Only these lions had Super Bowl rings and a lifetime of gridiron wisdom. Initially, the veterans were as skeptical as a cat at a dog show. They eyed Williams with a mix of curiosity and reservation. After all, he was a fresh-faced rookie trying to make it in the Windy City. His southern charm and sunny disposition seemed a bit out of place amidst the gruff, no-nonsense demeanor of the seasoned pros. It was like watching a penguin trying to hang out with a group of polar bears. But Williams, with his intelligence, character, and commitment, proved to be more than just a penguin in a polar bear world. He slowly but surely earned the respect of the veterans. He demonstrated his understanding of the game, his willingness to learn, and his unyielding determination to contribute to the team. His adaptability to the cold weather, which initially seemed as likely as a snowman surviving a heat wave, won them over. In the end, the veterans' endorsement of Williams was as hearty and genuine as a Chicago-style deep dish pizza. They saw in him not just a promising player, but a teammate who shared their drive, their passion, and their commitment to the Bears culture. And so, in the grand tradition of grizzled veterans acknowledging the new kid on the block, they gave Williams their nod of approval. No longer was he the rookie trying to find his way. He was one of them. He was a bear. In the words of the veterans, Williams went from being as lost as a chameleon in a bag of Skittles to the real deal. From cabbage confusion to Chicago chill, Caleb Williams' journey to the NFL has been nothing short of a sitcom. Let's jog down memory lane, shall we? Remember the time when young Caleb in his early days was more interested in gardening than football? Yes, you heard it right, folks. The same guy who now dodges linebackers once dodged cabbages. And let's not forget the high school hurdles. While most of us were struggling with algebra, our man was busy juggling defenders, making his way through the field like a hot knife through butter. High school for him was more like a training ground for his future NFL career. Then came the college conundrum. The decision he made was as unpredictable as a plot twist in a thriller movie. Choosing a school that was more about academics than athletics? Talk about a plot twist. But then again, who would have thought that it would turn out to be the best decision of his life? Fast forward to the draft day drama, the suspense, the anxiety, the anticipation. It was like watching the season finale of your favorite TV show. And when Caleb Williams was announced as the first overall pick, it was the ultimate cliffhanger resolved. And then the Chicago chill, literally. Our Sunshine Boy had to adapt to the Windy City's freezing temperatures. But like a true champ, he braved the elements and came out stronger. Who knew that the boy who once feared snowfall would become the Iceman of the Chicago Bears? Next, the rookie rumble. It was like watching a new kid in the school trying to fit in. But Caleb, with his charm and skills, not only fit in but stood out. He took the challenge head on and emerged as a leader. Finally, the veteran validation, the ultimate seal of approval. When the seasoned players of the team endorsed him, it was like a knight being anointed by the king. The moment was as grand as any royal ceremony. And that, folks, is the hilarious journey of Caleb Williams, from nearly becoming a Gardner to being the first pick in the NFL draft. Who knew football could be this funny?